Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah. Before we continue with the main quest, I wanted to do another side quest series. Excuse me, but you're the lady Alphinaud was traveling with, aren't you? I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch your name. I'm Serenia. Serenia, how lovely to meet you. My name is Eueliss, and I'm the acting village mayor. I was hoping someone of your talent would pass through Wright before long. The thing is, I need to visit someone up at Stonegazer, but I'm afraid to walk the path alone. Do you think you could provide an escort? My thanks. I just couldn't bring myself to ask one of the villagers. You see, there's an incident a while back where a veteran band of hunters was badly mauled. Simply mentioning that it was unsafe to wander outside the village these days would be enough to bring back memories of that grisly scene, which is why it's been difficult to even bring up the subject. But such does not change the fact that the roads are indeed dangerous. Pray meet me on the path to the north, and be prepared to fend off the wildlife. Already starting. Come here, Dodo. You alright? What did I tell you? I was barely 10 steps out of the village. Come, let us hurry along before more predators have a chance to gather. Thank you for the escort, Serenia. This is the gentleman I wish to speak with, so we needn't go any further. Sai Lewq? Are you wandering around by yourself out here? Do you know what kind of creatures lurk behind the borders of a village? Well, if it isn't Cliftor's little girl. Something I can do for you, lass? Yes, sir. I came for an answer to my proposal from the other day. Have you given any thought to taking over as village mayor? I'm doing the best I can in the interim, but I have neither the age nor the wisdom to continue in the role. And the rest of the villagers agree with me. I'm fairly sure I told you nay once already. But seeing as you found the guards just so you could come and talk to me, then mayhap I will consider the idea in exchange for a few small tasks. You will? Please just tell me what I need to do. My friend Crystal, your dear father, was looking for a sickle to cut some rope. Would you mind skipping back to the village and borrowing one for me? Why would you... I mean, a sickle, was it? For cutting rope. That shouldn't be too difficult. I'd only meant to ask you to come along for the one trip, but if I'm to complete the tasks, would you be willing to indulge me a while longer? Good day to you, young Eueliss. You look a little flustered, dear. Was there something I could help you with? Good day to you, madame. I was actually hoping to borrow a sickle. Is that all? Here, you can take this one. I have several with spare, so there's no rush in returning it. Doing a spot of harvesting, are you? My thanks, but it's not for me exactly. I was asked to bring one for my father. Your father? Shadows save me. Forgive me. If you're to accompany me in these tasks, then you deserve to know the whole story. It was my father, Clifton, who was the former mayor of Wright. And the incident I spoke of earlier was something that happened a year ago. One day a stray sin-eater came prowling around and slaughtered near half a village. It was a waking nightmare. Some of the villagers blamed my father. They said it was because he refused to accept the protection of Yulmore. The sheer scale of the tragedy and the accusations that followed wore away at his conscience until finally he could bear the guilt no longer. He hanged himself. Sai Lewq, the old man we spoke to, was his closest friend, but considering how he worded his request, it seems he's reluctant to accept the fact of my father's death. Still, I would see this task to its end. Let us bring him his sickle, shall we? Sai Lewq, sir, we've brought the sickle you asked for. Good, good. All Clifton will be glad to see this. Oh, sir. Thank you for staying with me, Serenia. This might be harder than I expected. I'm grateful to have you with me, Serenia. Thank you again. Sai Lewq, sir, I believe you had more tasks for me? I'm still here, are you? Yes, tasks. Now, there's a Talos of mine that's taking far too long to make its return. Probably busy tussling with some dim-witted predator. Go and see how it fares and chase off anything slowing it down. But all the... Ah, you mean that Talos? Pray follow me, my lead, Serenia. We'll find the Talos in question in the southwest of here, and I have no doubt there will be dim-witted predators aplenty for you to deal with. Here's the Talos Sai Lewq was talking about. I think something's made a nest in there. Oh, I'm glad you were here. You must have burrowed in beneath the plates. I know Sai Lewq implied that Talos was still moving, but as you can see, once upon a time there'd be a line of these contraptions hauling materials down to the shipyard, step by ponderous step, which incidentally is how the slow road supposedly earned its name. But after Daedalus Stoneworks closed down some 15 summers ago, there was no one left to maintain or make their creations. One by one, the Talos slowly fell into disrepair. This particular worker was damaged during that stray eater rampage, and it hasn't shifted an ilm ever since. It was always Sai Lewq's favorite. Come, let us make our report. Sai Lewq, sir? Serenia has cleared away the pests who are bothering at Talos. It should be left alone for the time being. Ah, excellent news. I'd expect he'll need a good polishing when he returns. The most troublesome ones are often the most endearing, huh? Oh, sir. You've done me a fine service, thank you. Indeed, thank you, Serenia. I've never could have fought such creatures myself. If I might impose upon you for the next task as well. Thank you again for staying. I honestly could not do this without you. Sai Lewq, sir, were there any other tasks you had for us? Just one last thing. I want you to gather some pretty flowers from the split hull as a gift for my darling wife. She went out for a usual walk, but has not yet deigned to come home. I fear I may have said something to sour her mood. I understand. We should give her a lovely bouquet for her then. Miss Serenia, will you accompany me to the Cape for some flower picking? She's dead, isn't she? This is almost pleasant, isn't it? Aside from the aggressive wildlife, of course. I should tell you about Sai Lewq's wife. She was killed in the Ether incident, although I imagine you already suspected as much. They met such a sweet couple. Every day they would walk up this cape, hand in hand, and she would gaze out over the flowers with his warm, contented smile. Sai Lewq himself had some training as a warrior. He would guard her as if she were a princess and he her gallant knight. I'm sorry. It's just... Wounds of the heart are slow to mend. But they are, and simply having someone there to share the grief can be enough to carry us through another day. It has been but a year, and we are all still suffering. Some seek to bury the misery beneath cheery faces, and others are yet trapped in the memories of the past. Sai Lewq, I fear, is one of the latter. But if a bouquet of flowers is what it takes to help him work through his sadness, then I would pick every bloom from his escape. Will you give me a hand to find some of the prettier flowers? Pray, think of it as a tribute to the deceased. Choose the one with the brightest petals. Those are the kind she loved best, I think. Let's see what we have. Yes, these are beautiful, thank you. Sai Lewq will be pleased. Let's take them back to Stonegazer before they get crushed in some scuffle. We made it, and the flowers are none the worse for wear. Sai Lewq, Serenia and I have returned with a bouquet for your wife. Ah, splendid. Thank you. Now perhaps she will come. She will come back too. Sir. Eueliss, forgive me. I've asked such cruel things of you. And I must apologize to you as well, Serenia. My beloved wife, my dear neighbors, so many are gone. After it happened, despair became my only company. I could not even save my closest friend when his torment was plain for all to see. I could never forgive myself. So I embraced this delusion, thinking that maybe if I tried hard enough, if I truly believed we were still alive, that the events of that day would fade away like the nightmare it was. But I succeeded only in hurting those around me. I understand why you did what you did, sir. I truly do. You always were such a sweet child. I will place the flowers you brought on her grave. She would have loved them. As for me assuming the role of mayor, I'm sorry, but I cannot give you a decision just yet. Take as long as you need. In fact, I might need a little time to recover myself. Serenia, if you could give me a moment or two. Okay, enough time? Thank you for your patience, Serenia. Sai Lewq still appears to be wrestling with his thoughts. But perhaps we can help him come to a decision. Sir, I don't mean to press you, but might you have arrived at an answer to my proposal? Not exactly, no. There's another matter I've yet to reconcile. Would you mind sharing this matter with us? Well, it goes back to the day that the Eater attacked the village. I was taking my turn as lookout here at Stonegazer. It's a duty we take very seriously. They say that the tower was originally built in the time before the flood. They were worried about dwarves and mountain bandits, but these days? Yes, there's far worse prowling around, and I failed to spot it. This Sin Eater, which came that day, did not appear as the other monstrosities I have seen. From a distance, it simply looked like a person. I wanted to be sure before I rang the warning bell, but I waited too long. Many who could have fled died because of my hesitation. How could a man of such faulty judgment ever serve as mayor? What comfort can I offer those whose loved ones were needlessly slain? None. Not whilst the abomination itself yet roams free to kill again. You and Grandson killed it? You slew Dykaiosyne? Then vengeance has been done. I thank you. Wright thanks you. I can scarce believe it. You have avenged the souls of our people and my father, and he have been dragging you across the countryside like a common guardsman. Well, sir, you've heard Serenia's words. Talk of vengeance aside, I do not believe the villagers, either living or dead, hold you responsible for the actions of that monster. Remember, Dykaiosyne was the tank role quest. And yet I cannot fault you for wanting to remain distant. Pray forgive me for pestering you so. Nay, 'tis I who should beg forgiveness, though you've lost as much as anyone. I left you to shoulder the burden of leadership alone. All will be well with you back among us again. Come, let us return to the village. As I've said, it's unsafe to linger out here for long. Serenia, one last escort back to Wright, if you would. My thanks for your protection, Serenia, not to mention your unfailing patience. It's my hope that now Sai Lewq has unburdened his mind to us, his heart will be the tiniest bit lighter. I for one feel ready to face another day. After all, I have my friends and neighbors here to help me face it. There was one last thing I wanted to show both you and Sai Lewq. It has to do with Wright's traditional industry, if you were interested in taking a look. Oh, good. I was worried you'd have enough of me. My last errand for you, then, will be to have a word with Sai Lewq and bring him to the barley fields at the front of the village. I'll be there tending to the crops until you arrive. Ah, Serenia, I'm grateful for your understanding and the flowers you brought. My wife would have very much approved of the selection. Now, was there something you wish to discuss with me? And Eueliss wants me there as well, does she? We had best head over to the fields then. How long has it been since I set foot in these fields? This is what I wanted to show you. The barley crop right here. This was your father's plot, wasn't it? You've been tending to it in his absence. Every single day. I wanted to see his plans come true. His plans? Yes, he dreamed of restoring things to how the history books said they once were, before a flood ruined everything. Our village has long been known as a place of artisans. Even the name, Wright, is a nod to the craftsmen that once made their home here. In years gone by, it said a line of talus would stretch down the road, arms bearing lumber, and the shipyard would echo with the calls of shipwrights, hard at work. And when the day was done, they would gather here to share an ale in the village. My father, he hoped to brew the traditional wild ale with the barley from the crop, to one day tap a barrel with his family and dear friends, and raise a toast to the future. Sai Lewq, Serenia, will you raise a mug with me when the day comes? Of course I will. Of course. But my dear girl, the land here does not nourish the crop as it once did. I fear it will be some time ere you have a barley fit for the ale you have in mind. In the meantime, will you help me with the rest of Clifftall's plans? The rest? He wanted things the way they once were, did he not? We must first recover from the tragedy which was visited upon us. There's no simple solution, but I mean to do what I can to lead our community out of this mire of pain and grief. Assuming you're still willing to have me as mayor. Yes, of course, sir. Thank you. I was set to live out the rest of my life in the Nile, but you and Eueliss opened the eyes of this old fool to what needs to be done. And for that, you have my thanks. Now I'd best get to work. I have folks to talk to and plans to make. When you're finished here, Eueliss, I would appreciate your assistance. Well, Serenia, I think this is where we finally part ways. Thank you again for all you've done for us. The people of Wright will go on, even under the weight of our sorrow. It might not happen this day or the next, but together we will find ways to make things better, to recapture the prosperity this village once had. I look forward to when you next visit. With any luck, I'll be waiting to put a frothing mug of Wright brewed ale in your hand. And that was the quest line. Oh, that was actually pretty nice. And thanks to us doing the tank world quest and having avenged these people here by slaying Dykaiosyne, that seemed to help a lot, knowing that the Sin Eater that was responsible for their pain is gone. Okay, but until next time, I'm Mace, and don't get lost.